NSFW, what unexpectedly turned you on? We were going through our old childhood books to donate to charity and she found this Sesame Street picture book I must have owned as a kid. She was going to get rid of it but I wanted to keep it. She started reading through it to me to tease me. When she got to the section about Ernie taking a bubble bath with his rubber ducky in her teasing voice, it awoke something in me I didn't know about myself before. We kept that book and now she reads it to me on my birthdays before we have bubble baths. Read this as what unexpectedly turned on you and started writing about how when I was younger my grandma's sweet dog almost tore off 2 of my fingers. Thank God I went back and read it. My wife doesn't really ever swear, except when we are doing the deed. Then she throws around F-bombs freely. One day she kicked the corner of the table and screamed out aloud "Fuck." I had a Pavlovian response in my shorts. When my husband looks back when he's backing in the car. My fiance registered sign makes this sound when he's turned on by something I'm doing or that he's looking at on me, but it can be a problem sometimes because he sometimes uses the same sound when he sees like an ad for food that looks really good. Wife couldn't reach something and I caught her hopping up to try and get to it when she didn't know I was there. My brain went into primal must duck right now mode. When my so jokingly bit my butt, I was lying naked on the bed after a shower and he straight up bit my butt cheek as a joke and dang, it did things. My hairdresser straddles my leg once in a while and gets really close. She also give the best scalp massages. This guy I was seeing called customer service to get a company error corrected. He used the softest, firmest, most understanding tone I've ever heard and I lost my damn mind. I accidentally Pavloved myself. There used to be this porn I watched with 2 chicks in it that had no audio other than music by Disturbed. Years later Disturbed came on the radio, I instantly got turned on. Was so confused for like 10 seconds. Edit. 7 years. 100,000 plus total karma. And this is my top comment. Great. A couple years back, my girlfriend at the time and I used to have a 6 while Pandora played. Every once in a while a car insurance commercial would play in the middle of songs. We laughed it off, but it didn't distract us from doing the deed. Fast forward a couple years forward and I hear that same car insurance commercial. Instant erection. Someone being extremely passionate about history or doing well in Scrabble. It's very weird. Taking a Greek mythology course and the TA, a curvy redhead, said if you want to talk about mythology for hours on end, I'm your girl. I, female, was doing dishes, and one of male friends who was visiting was watching me from the doorway. Unbeknownst to me, when I noticed, he was just casually standing there, leaning against the frame, arms crossed, moist, panties. Someone acting out of character, so a shy guy suddenly being aggressive or a loud dude being quiet, in a situation that might call for it. So like a big loud dude being soft towards a cat. Or a quiet dude defending someone in a fight. Edit. WHOMST is paying money to gold this. Driving off cliffs in video games. Falling in them in general. Also those videos of people jumping around on very high ledges and buildings. First off, I'm a guy, so my high school had a darkroom for a black and white film photography program. I was the only boy in the course. There were about 10-15 girls in the class. I was pretty good, and by my junior year, I had been involved in the program longer than any other student. Having so much experience led to me being a good place to go for advice on printing their photos. I would go to their station to figure things out, and the same 3 friends of mine, that were girls, in that class, would come up behind me and rest their chin on my right shoulder, and that would always wake me up. I never expected something like that to send goosebumps up and down my body and warrant a reaction downstairs. But it happened, and I took it in stride from then on. That scene in GoldenEye where Xenia on a top squeezes that guy to death awoke something in me at a very young age. Lick my ear and I'm down to duck. Late to the party but whatever. Being in my tent, like, I don't even know. When I'm camping and I retire to my tent, slip into my sleeping bag and zip up the little tent door. I have no idea but apparently that really does it for me. Physical therapy. A no bullet Indian lady is working on my neck. I start to droop my head. She unceremoniously yanks me back into position. Keep your head up. Damn. Yes, mistress. Hitting the rumble strips on the side of the road. Tomato in the kitchen was looking extra THICC just the other day. My boyfriend speaking Gaelic to me for the first time. He was just telling me what the police are called in Ireland, but duck. Talk about a waterfall. When I was a freshman in college, an English boy in one of my classes said the phrase war of attrition with his English accent, and I had to go take a breather. When I'm cuddling with a guy and I'm little spoon and I can feel him getting hard, that really does it for me. Fear. Years ago I was playing the first Bioshock with an ex in a fully darkened room with a wall-sized projector. At some point we came across an operating room where the lights were flickering, blood everywhere, and then got jump scared by a psycho doctor. Full on threw that controller across the room and jumped into his arms. Shortly after we got busy. Years later when my mom died, I uncovered her old stash of Omni magazines where I found an article on the fear response and sexual arousal, and it all made sense. Edit. To add a link. Watch at the risk of feeling frisky. Was in bed with my girlfriend and the remote was at the end of the bed. I sit up and basically lazily reach for it on all fours. I'm in some boxer briefs that have a pouch-like thing for your junk, so when I bent over my ball bulge was pretty much in her face. She just playfully punched me in the balls and it hurt and stung. But I almost instantly got hard. I'm now laying on my back holding my balls in protection. She can see the outline of my obvious boner though and starts laughing confusedly. She volunteered to blow me as an apology, and since I was already hard, I asked her to tap my balls a little throughout and I nutted harder than ever. Basically now all of our foreplay commences with light ball busting. I don't know what it is, but something about the just woke up look really gets me. Like messy hair and loose pajamas. It's my kryptonite. An ex-boyfriend lecturing me about money. I don't think it was the context, just the way he did it. Like a stern father. He did a lot of things in a stern, disapproving dad way, and IDK it was hot. I guess this means I have daddy issues IDK. Older women who give off dom mommy vibes. Once had an older woman with that short silver fox haircut and a stronger jaw call me a good girl while I was at work because I did something right with her order that nobody else could for some reason. I'm a relatively straight female. Or am I? Well, duck. IDK. Hung out mini-golfing with a group of friends. Our resident goof was being her typical self. Kinda ditzy and along for the ride but not very skilled. Just sorta aloof. Also she's into me. But it's unfortunately not mutual. We all went to play pool as a last minute decision. And as it turns out, her aunt has a pool table in her house and she's been playing for ages every week. She snapped instantly into an extremely unusual focus and level of skill. The pool cue was an extension of the body that she was moving across, on, and around the table. Like it was a sophisticated dance that nobody knew better than her. I have never been more aroused by that woman than I was that night. Ever since. It's been the same group dynamic. She's been the same person that I'm platonically friends with. I'll never forget how she woke something up in me that night though, or how weird it was. A girl I was friends with had apparently been giving me hints for a while that I hadn't been picking up on. One time we are hanging out and she goes to take a pee. She yells at me from the bathroom to come here. I walk up to the door and ask her what she needs. With no hesitation she says, "Come in here. I want you to watch me pee." Unexpected turn on for some reason. So when I was in my early teens and just discovering sex, I decided that since I was a bit of an artist, I could draw porn for myself. I started with a wagon that was all well and good, but then I decided to try ID and suddenly sprung. I was not expecting that in the slightest. Went to yoga with my lady friend. At the end of the class, the instructor had us all lie on our backs on our mats and she was humming or lightly singing. Then she rubbed a lemony oil on our shoulders and foreheads, and the touching and humming gave me a braingasm and I've been into ASMR ever since. My lady friend did not like hearing how much I enjoyed the conclusion to the class. A mistake I never repeated. Edit. Lotion switched to oil. I wouldn't say it turned me on, but I've once seen my teacher's belly button because her shirt wasn't covering it properly for a moment. And let me tell you, it's a fine looking belly. Bite my earlobe. It was great until my cat apparently figured it out and now it's how she wakes me up. Sustained eye contact from the guy behind the counter at the gas station. He had dark brown hair and blue eyes, so his eyes really seemed to penetrate me. It was a slip and slide down there, boys. When I was at the airport and had like 20k knock in cash and wanted to exchange it to euro. Took me a long time to count, but this bank woman at the airport just took my money and did some magic with her fingers that went so fast I couldn't believe it, and she knew within seconds how much money I gave her. But more than that, the whole way she acted with the whole transaction was so unbelievable professional. I have never experienced anything like that level of professionalism in my entire life. How could I not be turned on by the most pro woman I have ever seen? Whenever my girl talks about how she appreciates me and thinks about a future with me, instant we need to duck mode. A friend told me she had a being choked fetish while we were Black Friday shopping, so, obviously, I jokingly choked her in the middle of a crowded Target. Almost nutting at 11:27 PM in the middle of a Target is how I discovered I like choking. Eater, I am female. Still like choking people. My girlfriend and I had just finished having sex. I went to the bathroom, came back, and was ready to go to sleep, because I was actually really tired. I start drifting off to sleep when suddenly I hear her voice say, "Oh no you don't. I'm not done with you yet." Then she gets on top of me, pins my arms back, and starts kissing me. It was so unexpectedly hot that I was instantly ready to go again and no longer felt tired anymore. Scaring people at my haunted house job. Coming down off a DMT trip, and there is no easy way to say this, I masturbated thinking about my bedroom door. The fact that the guy I like likes to be insulted. My wife telling me she never wants kids. A female bodybuilder. For around 3 seconds until I realized those were girl titties. I'm gay. Having my head scratched softly and sensually while cuddling. Not in the usual kind of horny turn on way, but there is something extremely sensual and erotic about it, and I am not even sure why. Something about the intimacy and tenderness of it. Going down on my husband, who was usually pretty gentle with sex, and having him push me down on him repeatedly and roughly. I didn't know he had it in him. That was years ago. Things have progressed since then, lolon. On the phone with this guy, there's some history with us, and he said shut up, itch mostly jokingly. Instant and confused arousal on my end. The flatbread at Subway suddenly seemed very sensual and seemed to have a skin-like texture. It quickly passed and was replaced with WTF. The groggy gravelly voice of a man who's getting stern with you. Squeezing your arm kinda just all around being protective. Made an all just for this. Cause it's super ducked up. Representing a guy at a murder trial. Not giving details because it was a fairly distinctive crime. Dude get found guilty, not entirely a surprise, and during the punishment phase the victim's younger sister testified. You know how some chicks get really cute when they are angry? Well, this chick was furious. And she was hot to start with. I'm not sure what it was exactly, but damn she did it for me. I was glad I didn't have to get up for anything. Boyfriend was passed out drunk in bed with me. When I see his D stand upright and an arc of pee hit me directly on my face. I was so angry that night, but it woke up a kink in me, and now I'm the weirdo with a pee kink to go along with the degradation one. Fingers. Long and lithe, or thin and short. Male or female, something about graceful fingers turns me on. Having a girl suck my finger, in that slow sensual way, to my own surprise, it immediately made me fairly hard. Even weirder, it was a purely physical turn on, as my mind wasn't really into it.